Yeah, welcome to Project Wood. Today we are marking out a train, train similar to this one here. It's kind of a long nose version. We're going to do a slightly shorter nose version in the kit. Kits for the train are available in the eBay link below, or if you don't want to get wood from us, you can join the Patreon crew in the link below as well. And for that fee per month you get a cutting list for each project, and you can get your own more expensive timbers or longer timbers if you need. So please like and share the video if you can, it helps the channel grow. And so we'll get started. So our train is a little bit more complicated than it looks. There's a lot of woodwork involved. We're going to have a dovetail joint here at the top. And there's also some very complicated jointing here on the side, taking the wheels off so you can see. This one is not glued. Look in the overhead camera. Got some lovely jointing detail here. With your dovetail on top. We've also got our chimney stack and light on the front. This makes an ideal project actually for painting if you wish to do that. And we've got a little bit of chamfering on the nose of the train here as well. So we might also add on some little buffers on the front and back which are not on the prototype here. Okay, so we'll leave that to one side. So what do you get in the kit? Well, we're going to take a look here. First of all, you get 6 wheels. You can put 4 or 6 wheels on, it just looks more train-like with 6 wheels. So these will come cut with a hole saw, so they won't be as smooth as you see here. You have to give them a gentle sanding just to get them nice and smooth. They come with a 6mm hole drilled, and that will suit the axle material, which is a 6mm pine. You can also use some of this material for buffers on the front and back of the train. So no need to label those, we know exactly what wheels are, so leave them to one side. You also get in the kit a piece of thicker dowel made from ramen wood, and this is very easy to cut and sand and shape. So you've got one for the light on the front and one for the chimney stack as well. Okay, so from here on in we'll start labelling the pieces. So we'll face side and face edge, of course. And zoom in a little bit on that. So this square piece of material measures 44 by 44 by 105. This is going to be the main engine of the train. So that's your face side and face edge marked. We'll just write engine maybe on that piece. Again, I'm using black pen so it's easier to see in the video. It's always good to put your face side and face edge on and label the part as well. Next piece in the kit is the long piece of wood. This is for the base of the train, and it measures 200 by 70 by 18. Actually this one is by 20. So again we'll put in our face side and face edge, and we'll label that base. Or chassis on the train, whatever you want to call it. Next up we have 2 pieces identical in size. 60 by 90 by 20. These are going to form the sides of the where the driver would sit. So we'll call it left side and right side, or side, face side, face edge symbol. Let's give you a look at that for a second. And the same then for the left side. It's always very important to label your parts, especially in kits, so you don't cut up the wrong piece. All the wood that we use in our kits is easily available in any local hardware shop anyway, so if you make a mistake, it's easy enough to replace them, or give us a shout and we'll send you out or replace them in part. Okay, then this is the main front of the train, where you have windows and it will be joined to the engine with face side and face edge that. And we'll call that the window panel, something like that. These windows going in this anyway, so. And that is 118 by 70 by 20. And final piece then is the roof. This is going to joint into our window panel with a dovetail joint. This is our first dovetail joint in the series on Project Wood. Call that roof. So that should be interesting to see how that turns out for people. So there's all our pieces. We have roof, left side and right side. Got the base, the engine block, the front of the train or window panel, 6 wheels, chimney, light, and then dowel for the wheel axles and for the front and back of the buffers. So we'll start out by marking the dovetail joint. We've got a dovetail joint here at the top. On the prototype I put the male part of the dovetail onto the front panel piece, and for the kits though we're going to put the male onto the roof piece. It's just slightly easier to put it together that way, and they will slot together nicely. So to mark that out you need 2 pieces of wood on your table. The front window panel and the roof piece itself. So first up we're going to mark the thickness of the wood, which is 20 mm. And just mark that onto both ends. So you see that there on the roof panel. And we bring that all the way around with a tri-square. Again, make sure you use a light pencil. We'll be using a dark pen here to make it a bit easier to see. Making sure to keep the brass part of the tri-square only ever against the face edge and face side. That ensures that your lines meet up when you go all the way around. Just zoom in on that piece. Now we want to mark a single dovetail onto this. So we'll use roughly 1/3 of the width of the wood. So even if we come in, say come in 22 millimeters from both sides. So this will be the base of our dovetail joint here. Use our tri-square then just to bring those straight up. Now, for softwood timber, dovetail slopes are what we call 1 in 6. So for every 6 millimeters we go up, we go out 1. Or if we go up 12, we go out 2. So we'll go up 12 millimeters here. Draw a light line across. And measure out 2 millimeters. 2 from here and 2 from here. Again, make sure your pencil is really sharp. Accuracy is everything here. If you're using hardwood timbers, it's the slope of 1 in 8, so you can go up 16 and out 2. Join that back to the base, and that gives us our correct dovetail angle for softwood pine that we're using in this case. Okay, so we're going to be cutting all this bit off here, so we can just X that up. Okay, repeat that on the other side. Twenty-two. Okay, now a little trick. We can take the very tip of our dovetails here, just bring them across the end grain with a tri-square. As you can imagine, we can join that to the 22s on the other side. And that will give us an exact replica of the dovetail on the reverse. We need to be able to see the dovetail on both sides, just for cutting out so it's nice and accurate. Again, with a sharp pencil you'll get that a lot more accurate even than that. So end grain is going to be coming off here, or shoulder piece, and all this piece, and this piece here. So that's how we mark out male dovetail. Now this will join on to the front window panel piece. So you have two choices here. You can try and mark out the female piece here, and make sure your measurements are all accurate. Or we can wait to cut out the male and use the cut out male to mark out the female, and there'll be a perfect match, especially if you make a little error on the male. But a couple of things we can do is mark the depth of the timber and have that ready for later on. So my preference is always to cut the male and use that to mark out the female, and you always get a perfect result in. So again, only allow your tri-square to touch the face side and face edge for accuracy of the lines going around. Okay, so for the moment that's the dovetails taken care of. We'll cut out the male later on and use it to mark on to the end grain of the female, and that will create a nice dovetail joint for us here that we're using on this part of the train. Now our next marking out is where the front window panel or front of the train is going to mortise and tenon into the bottom of the train. we'll take our window panel piece. We've written dovetail on this end so we don't mix it up. Zoom in a little bit on that. So on the other end, we take the base and again mark the thickness. You can just use your ruler and mark 20 millimeters, but it's always more accurate to use the actual wood you're going to be joining into, because wood is hygroscopic and it moves depending on the moisture in the room, so it could be half a millimeter bigger or smaller on any particular day. Now we're going to mark a male tenon on this piece, so roughly again 1/3. So just to keep it in balance with the dovetails on top, if we do 22 again from either side, generally work in millimeters here, that will give you a nice balance of waist to actual tenons and give you good strength. We need to bring that all the way around to the other side. So very often in woodwork we only have to measure once, and we can use that measurement to bring material or sizes all the way around our wood. Okay, so it's going to give us some waist here, here. Okay, so we remove these two pieces, that will slot down into the base of the train. So other things then that need to be marked out on the front panel are the position of the engine block. So we want to have that nice and centered. Get that into the middle here. So we want to have an even amount of timber both sides. So the engine block is 44 and our wood is 70. So that's a difference of 26. So we want 13 millimeters on the left and 13 on the right. That's pretty spot on there. So we can actually trace around our piece of wood there. Now the reason for tracing is we're going to actually use a screw. We'll use a screw from the back of the window panel to add strength to the whole thing. You can see the screw here in the back of the prototype. We join corner to corner to get the dead center. And we will be drilling a pilot hole through here for the screw. Now that leaves us with a nice piece of material here to look at our windows. On the prototype I just drilled in 2 9mm holes for the windows. So I think for our final model we will probably go something larger. I've got, measure this here. Yes, I've got a 20mm Fastener bit here. I think we'll use that for the windows and they will look pretty good. But probably the biggest I can make that without weakening the wood. So we've got 34mm available from underneath the dovetail to the top of the engine. Just find the center of that. 17. So 17mm. We'll bring that across. Now we want to position our windows evenly here, so let's mark the center here at 35. And we'll go half 35, 17, so maybe 17 half. We'll come in 17 from the left. That'll be one hole center. We'll pilot hole that as well before we drill it with the fastener bit. And we'll come in 17 on this side. Okay, so those two X's will be the position of our window centers. No need to mark those on the back. We'll drill straight through there with our pilot bit. If you haven't got a pillar drill and you just have a hand drill, maybe do mark them out on the back just to check for accuracy. But if you can drill straight or you have a pillar drill, you can drill your pilot holes through those 2 points. Now there is another joint here on the side. This is where the side of the train is going to fit in. And we'll mark that in a few minutes after we actually mark out one of these pieces. So you can gather up your left side now and your right side pieces. Okay, so we're going to mark out the sides of the train. So we're getting into the complicated stuff now. So we want to mark out this type of shape. So we'll take the left side and we'll take the base piece and just mark the thickness. The base and the front window panel are the same thickness, so we can just use the base piece to mark 2 lines here. This is slightly different than the prototype I have there, but same construction technique. Okay, so first off we want to retain a little tenon here and a little tenon on the front. So again, we just keep using our base piece as thickness guide. So we've made this simple. All these joints are basically 20mm by 20mm. Both left and the right are mirrors of each other. They're absolutely identical. That should make life easier as well. So we will want to remove all this material here then. And that will leave us with the side of kind of where the driver stands on the engine. The cab, I suppose. We'll mark that around to the other side. Again, make life easier, just use our timber to mark the thickness. Or we can just use our tri-square to bring them over. A little bit of a slip there. My pen is not a great job for woodwork, hard to get rid of the mistakes. So we need to get rid of this. And then this matching piece on the back. On the bottom, we're going to get rid of most of the bottom material. Again, we can use our timber to mark that. And just bring it around from the front. Now obviously it's going to be a nightmare for me to have to get rid of all these pen marks, but if you're using a pencil, you know, if you can use a 5H or a 2H would be ideal. We'll just darken up this little line here again just to make sure we're spot on. So you can really see the importance of marking your waist in little pieces like this. There's absolutely no doubt that I'm going to cut off the wrong piece there. So when that's cut out, it's going to give us this type of shape here. So I just repeat that then for the right hand piece. And both of these are identical. Even when we're finished, you can use the left on the right or the right on the left. We just named, I suppose. Okay, so you can go ahead and mark those, and we'll come back then to have a look at probably marking out this little piece here on the front of the panel. Okay, so we're going to start marking some information onto the base. So you can take your left or right side piece, and this contains many important measurements now that we need for getting our base right. So I'm just going to write R here and F here for rear and front of the train base, just so we don't mix them up. So I'm coming back to the rear part here. Zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to position the right side piece I'm going to use here so that it's flush with the back of the base. You can just use a ruler if you like to make sure they're nice and level. So there's a couple of important measurements that I need to take off this. First of all, I need to mark the length of that piece of wood onto the base. Okay, so it's going to be important in terms of getting the engine block on right. I need to measure this little piece here. Okay, so that's important for our joint at the back. And also, I suppose we should have this brought across already. So we want to measure this little part here as well. So basically that has found for us the position of the front panel going into the base.